Again, it's really a pleasure for me to be here in this great institute for a second time, to have an interaction with those who are really concerned about the soul as well as people who are concerned about the society around us. And I really appreciate this great organization for taking up such a wonderful theme for a conference like seminar in which we deliberate on this particular issue. I really salute all those who are on the dais as well as those who are in the audience, because I very strongly believe that all who have gathered here are really dignified and great people who have come together to deliberate on a very vibrant social concern, how to make our governance really useful, effective, as well as something which makes the society with its well-being and with its development. And I really thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be here to deliberate a bit on what we really think or what we really understand by these two terminologies. What is self-governance and how it really works with good governance. It's quite maybe a decade or more that we have started to hear the word governance, though it was there in the social administrative system for centuries and centuries. And I would like to have a bit of a conceptual deliberation on what we understand by the word governance and what we understand by the word good governance and how it really works with or connects itself with self-governance. In my understanding, the word governance goes to a process in which the system is being administered. A process in which the system is being administered. And the system is being administered not for the system, but it is being administered for the recipients of the services of that system. You can take government. Government is a system. And how that system administers itself. How that system gets functionalized. And that's a process. And in that process, that system is not for itself. No government can stand for itself. No department can survive for itself. As we know, Shashian sir is heading CISF in International Airport. CISF cannot exist for itself. There is no meaning in that. It is existing for somebody else, for something else. And that somebody is the general society. And that something is the service they provide. And how that system gets itself operationalized. And there is a philosophy behind this process of getting itself operationalized with. If the system is getting itself operationalized for itself, it will be looking for profit. That is what we are generally understand by an industrialist or a businessman. A businessman is operating a system. He is also or she is also offering services. He is also or she is also serving the general social system in a general way. But the ultimate aim of that system is towards himself or herself, making something out of it for himself or herself, or the people or the system around it. Then we call it business. When it looks for profit, we call it business. On the other side, when the same system starts to operate for the other, when the camera is being taken to the to the public, it is not then functioning, operationalized for itself. Rather, it is to give service to the people. Then we all talk about the system of service organizations, service administration system. Then the concern is well-being. Well-being not of the system, but of the common people. So governance is a process through which the system gets itself operationalized and functionalized, and it renders services to the people. And that is what we understand by the common word governance. The system has energy, the system has resources, the system has procedures, the system has something to offer. All these things are put together. As we talk in the economic terms of production, we want land, labor, capital and organization put together, only then there will be production. Similarly, we need resources, we need people, we need time, we need energy, and all these things are put together so that we can serve the community. And that process of serving the community by organizing all the resources available to us is a process of governance. Putting them together. And this putting them together is not merely making it into a heap, but everything is placed in a place, in a status quo, so that it has got a clear logical process of connectivity. As I really remember what APJ was talking to India on the eve of Republic Day. I think that was his last Republic Day message to India as the President of India. He was talking throughout. His speech was an oratory speech. He was not reading a speech as usual, but he was talking to the nation as well as he is talking to the humanity. And what he anchored his entire speech was a single word, that is connectivity. How people get connected, how the rural and the urban get connected, how the services and the systems get connected. And he has beautifully elaborated on the process in which the new India, he was dreaming on 2020, where the entire services will be getting connected to people and the entire systems will be getting connected to people. And this process of connectivity is the process of governance. Getting everyone connected. And I think Brahma Kumaris is working on getting everyone in this universe connected to a soul. That's the governance. And when it becomes a good governance, we have experienced governance in its worst form in many systems. We also have experienced governance which the average, maybe the acceptable standards. But also we may understand, or we may really aspire and look for good governance. I think it's a great thing what Mahatma Gandhi was told. When Nehru has gone to him and asked him, what should be the planning process of India? And the reply was, you plan for the last one in the social system. Because the last one, Antyodaya, unto the last, that's basically a novel of Ruskin, which Gandhi has taken in as his cardinal value. The entire governance system should go to the last one in the social order. And he has called him as the one deserved in the social system, the administrative system. And that was a process where he really wanted to communicate that whatever you plan for the last one in the social system will be good for the first one in the system. But what you plan for the first one in the system, or somebody who is in the middle one in the system, will not be useful for the last one in the system. That was his thought. Who is the last one in the system? Because the entire social order is a system, is a hierarchical system in which we understand people are there. Some of them are there in the mainstream, and some of them are really taken out of the mainstream into the peripheries. You know the wide and dichotomy between the mainstream and the peripheries. Who is there in the mainstream? Who is there in the periphery? It's a critical question to India right now. The Indian polity, Indian society. Who is there in the mainstream? And when I teach my students who are in the development stream, I used to speak about the who are in the mainstream with 4 characteristics. Who are there in the mainstream of the system? I think they have 4 characteristics. If time permits me, I may elaborate a bit more on that. The 4 characteristics are white, rich, young, male. I don't know whether you confront me or agree with me. White, rich, young, male. Why I make this statement like this? When you take the entire social order of the world, you always understand that the white has got a hegemony on the black, power on the black. Always black believes, or black color is treated as the negative color, the color of the evil. And the people who have got black skin are treated as people with the negative devilish existence. That's our concept. More than that, when you come to the commercial industrial system of the accessories of people, I have never come across with any cream which makes the skin of a person dark. But you will find hundreds of creams or thousands of creams and lotions that is trying to make the skin of a human being white and fair. Why? People are after the fairness, the white. Second, rich. When you open the television, where you can have n number of telebrand opportunities, I have never come across with any instrument, any blessed object at home or at industry or anywhere that will make people really pauper, poor. But you can find hundreds of instruments, hundreds of mechanisms which will make people rich, rich, rich. So everybody wants to be rich. Nobody wants to be poor. White, rich. Third, nobody wants to grow old. I have never seen any cream or lotion that makes the hair white or grey. But people are using creams and lotions to make them young. And once you take the industry of film, you won't find people, heroes, who is the old people, except maybe Bachchan or somebody who is having that command on the industry. Otherwise, everybody is after youngsters. They want to be young. People who are maybe in the sweet beginning of old age also want to remain themselves as young. So white, young, rich. The other one is a very serious question. That is male and female. I have not seen any social community or order where the couple want to have a girl child. Rather, they always look for a boy child. And they can wait for, they can go for a treatment, and they can have their choice to have a male child. Why we opt for a white, rich, young male? Because they are in the mainstream. And who is on the other side? In the peripheries? Basically, people who are not having this. A female who is rich may have maybe in the mainstream. An old man who is rich, who is white, maybe in the mainstream. Which means, if you want to be in the mainstream, in the general social order as we live right now, to be in the mainstream means either you have to be young, you have to be rich, or you have to be white, or you have to be at least a male. Why? These people holds the capacity to take decisions. People with these characteristics have the capacity to own and operate the resources of the social system. One way or other way. We don't know. But it happens. So, an administrative system, once it goes to the last one in the social order, should not hang on in the mainstream. But the cameras should be open to the peripheries. That is a good governance. When governance is really opened up to the white people who are in the peripheries because of various reasons. You can find various reasons why a human being is pushed into a periphery. Maybe, as we said, the characteristics like four, the sickness, the physical challenges, the mental challenges, or the unemployment. You may find n number of reasons why people are really pushed into the peripheries of a social order. And when it becomes a good governance, a governance becomes a good governance when the governance system gets itself operationalized and open to the people in the peripheries. And I may come to the crux word right now, that is self-governance. Who can become a good governor? Who can manage a system of good governance? I'm quite sure a person who is having self-governance. A person who is having self-governance. What he has to govern or what she has to govern on self? It's a critical question again. As a human being, what should be my governance on me? As we said, my passions, my emotions, my feelings. If I'm controlled with my passion for my family alone, I won't be a governor. If I'm controlled with, or if I'm really put into control by my children alone, I won't be a good governor. I won't be a person who can offer governance to the public. If I'm controlled by my political ideologies alone, again, I will be a failure. If I'm controlled by my religious ideologies alone, I'm sure I will be controlled in the system. So what should I govern on myself if I want to really talk about or stand for good governance? Controlling my own passions. Governing my passions. In Gita, that was an excellent explanation to go on with. Krishna has really made it. You may have your kith and kins on the other side. You may have your real beloved people in the system. But your responsibility is not to fulfill your commitments to them right now. Rather, you look for the truth, the dharma. And you offer your karma. So that is self-governance. Governing my own passions, my own emotions, my own belongings, and my own relationships even. When I am working with the governing system, when I am supposed to offer services to the common, to the public, I'm not supposed to be controlled by my beloved. Plundering the wealth of the public, plundering the wealth of the public at any cost becomes a menace. No doubt in that. At any post, at any distinguished hierarchical position you are holding in the social system. Maybe you are holding a position in the private organizational system, or you may be holding a public administrative system position, or you may be an elected member, you may be a political leader, you may be a religious leader, you may be a cultural leader, you may be a literary person, you may be a religious leader, whoever may be, whatever may be your hierarchical status quo in the social order. If you are not controlled by yourselves, if you cannot control your own self, I'm sure you will be a burden to the others. So if our country, if our social order, if our religions, if our institutions, if our cultural entity requires to have one way or other way something like good governance, I'm quite sure that they should be people with self-governance. In psychology, we talk about the locus of control. What is your locus of control? What controls you? It's a critical question for me. What really controls me as a human being? if it is being controlled my passions, if it is being controlled my desires, my dreams, my relatives, my kith and kins, my children, my parents, my family alone, I really doubt whether I can, or how far I can be a successful person with good governance. Making some of these quick deliberations on what is governance, what is self-governance, and what is good governance in our current contemporary social order. I really thank this Kumaris organization to come up with this great thinking of deliberating on self-governance for good governance. I really appreciate everyone who has worked behind, and I thank everyone who has given me an opportunity to share some of my inner worries and inner deliberations. Thanks a lot, and wish very best to this conference, and really wish let this be a good beginning and work a great result to the entire social order in India and throughout the world. Thank you.